Having a space that enables creativity is crucially important to doing your best work. So after years of accepting standard solutions, I recently made some changes to create an area for myself that makes work fun and easy. Hi, my name is Valentin. I'm a full-time creator exploring sustainable ways to grow in the creator economy. And this is my 10 square meter home office studio. This space has seen many iterations over time, and now is a mix of some old, some new, and some things that I just can't change. But most important to me is that finally all my things have a home, and that this multi-purpose room now has dedicated zones for different activities and moods. Almost all the furniture in here is from IKEA, and over time I found some hacks that really improve how I use them. The desk is a 2-meter white La Copten tabletop with black Olaf legs. And the way I improve this desk is by replacing the center support with a solid wooden beam. That makes it a lot sturdier and creates a lot more usable space underneath. The same pieces of wood are under the legs to make it a permanent standing desk. While I don't think I can ever go back to a regular sitting desk, I did get myself a height adjustable lit Cullen stool for a longer work session and editing in particular. On top of that sits the Eloven monitor stand that raises up a 2017 iMac Pro I am still using. While I would love a new Apple silicone machine, I have yet to encounter a real problem with what I got, and for now my money is better spent on tactile workflow improvements. Inside the monitor stand, I keep a few frequently used items like my Baronfig index cards, pens, hard drives, SD cards, things like that. Underneath it, I keep my Student Mark I pen in its cork tray, and recently swapped out my theme journal for an A5 Rhodia dot book that I use as a bullet journal. The peripherals in front are a Magic trackpad on my left for scrolling and swiping, the Magic keyboard with a numpad in the center, and an Anker vertical mouse on the right. I started using that to alleviate some RSI issues, which it definitely helped with, but I would like to upgrade to a better model since I always find myself knocking it over. Now let's talk about the gear. This small rig desk stand has been the backbone of all my videos this year. I combined it with a Manfrotto camera plate and ball head to mount my camera of choice, that is the Canon EOS R combined with a 5-inch Blackmagic video assist on top so I can see myself. Also attached to this rig is an RGB wheel light with an old Zacuto Magic Arm that I had lying around from my filmmaking days. The light was very affordable, and I love that I can control it with an app to change brightness and color the way I need it. The Fusion up top is from an old Westcott Flex light that is currently stored away. Slightly in front of the camera stand is the Rode boom arm that carries an Audio-Technica AT2020 USB Plus that allows me to record directly into DaVinci Resolve, and I never have to worry about anything getting messed up. For power on this side, I have a cube-style splitter that has 3 regular outlets and 2 USB-A sockets. And for my phone, I have a Google Pixel stand for wireless charging. The last thing in this desk area I have to share with you is this new and improved overhead rig. So far, I used the Manfrotto 420B for all my top-down shots, but it always stayed up for way too long even if I wasn't using it, just because I didn't want to build it again. Instead, now I use this hinge from Amazon that is meant to hold up a folding table, and to turn it into an overhead rig, I added a connector and spigot to mount another Manfrotto camera plate with an old Sony a6300. Again, this is an item I should probably replace, but for now it's doing its job, and at this point holding on to it makes more sense than selling it. And that is my main workstation where I record, edit, and regularly chat with creators. Now let's get into storage, because we all need to hide our cables and papers somewhere. So underneath the desk is the IKEA Kallax, the shelf almost everyone owned at some point. This one came with the apartment and has moved around a lot to finally land underneath my desk. One hack I found here is that the Quizlet paper tray fits perfectly into one of the openings and leaves some extra room to tuck away some notebooks. Behind it is even more space left over that I use to hide away all my old hard drives that store some early works. The drawers next to it provide quick access for camera-related items, and another set of those contains a variety of cables, miscellaneous items, and one is dedicated to the shirts I wear while recording. If you want to know what that is about, I'll link a video above on how they help me perform better on camera. Finally, we have the IKEA Alex drawer that contains tools and supplies for everyday use, but the lower you go, the nerdier it gets. The dark blue wall behind me made way more difference to how I feel about this space than I ever imagined. It really gives a frame to this open space that also doubles as our kitchen and living room. Behind me used to be the Freehatan couch, which moved to the other side of the room to become a zone of relaxation. In its place is now a Fjällbo sideboard and shelf combo that really complements the dark mode aesthetic on this side. These pieces are a mix of utility and display. So the top of the shelf is where I like to show off some objects that I created, and the cameras on here serve as mementos to my journey so far. But by being here, they also get used way more often than the ones that are stored in a closet. The Canon C200 is actually what I shoot most of my B-roll with, and the other ones come in handy every once in a while. Underneath that is a Canon Pixma TS6150 to print and scan documents and the occasional photo. One level lower in the darkest corner I finally have a charging station, because for way too long I plugged in chargers whenever, wherever, but now there's one place for it with a permanent setup. Another hack I found here is that the monitor stand I use fits perfectly inside the shelf to elevate everything and allows me to store away chargers I use less frequently. Now the only problem is that I need 2 more of them for the printer and the cameras to create a cohesive look and add additional storage options. The sideboard stores gear that isn't tied to any specific camera, like sound equipment, grip stuff and lights, as well as office supplies and documents. But of course there also needs to be a drawer full of D&D stuff, at least until I have a proper gaming dungeon. This area can also be used as another overhead setup, and it is where I put up my iPad Air for my workout routine. The simple wooden shelf up top was the first DIY project in this apartment, and it used to be a bookshelf, but now is purely for display. But of course, no creative space would be complete without a bookshelf. For that, I am using a generic wooden box from the local hardware store, combined with an IKEA Uppbeat dish holder on top, which works surprisingly well to display what I'm currently reading and reference books. The only exception is that Rick Rubin's The Creative Act is just a little bit too big for it. But I hope this whole setup is just a temporary solution until I find the perfect shelf for this in-between area. Okay, I think this was everything I consider my studio, and now you know how I organize everything I need to continuously create, and I hope this inspires you to rethink your space. Keep in mind that having a good setup is always a work in progress, and of course the reality is that what you've just seen is the ideal state, but most of the time it looks more like this. Now, if you're curious to see more studio tours or to find out if every creator has a mess like this, how are you storing lenses in here?
I'm sorry.
Now is a really good time to subscribe. I don't want to spoil too much, but in a few weeks' time, there will be a lot more of this kind of content. So stick around if that's interesting to you. Otherwise, I thank you so much for watching, and it is time to create.